Hello, everybody. As promised, it's me, Tonya Nicole, coming here for Talks and Tea. So I am excited for today. So if you are ready for today in our conversation, start off by go grab you some tea. My beautiful mug is the one I got this year for my birthday. I turned 40. 20 plus 20 in 2020. So go ahead and grab your mug, get your tea, and get ready for Talks and Tea with me, Tonya Nicole. I am so excited today because we are back again for another live to discuss sending our children back to school and what to consider in the process. So here's the thing. Let's get started with this disclaimer first. Before we even get started, here is the disclaimer. If you have made your decision and you think everybody else who doesn't believe as you do in the choices you made for your child, you think everybody has to follow your exact same decision, this conversation is not for you. Everybody else is welcome. But one of the things that we're going to discuss today is we're going to look at what decisions and what considerations we need to take as it relates to our children going back to school. If you have children, great. If you don't have children, stay. It still is a good conversation. I'd love to have you. So grab your tea and let's talk. A little bit about me. So most important, the biggest thing to know about me, I am the honored mother of three of the most amazing people I know. I have 3 kids, 2 daughters and a son. They are the love of my life, and I actually spent a few years homeschooling them. I've worked in educational leadership as a consultant, an educator. I've been an assistant dean at a university. I've collaborated with homeschools, private schools, public schools, and one other type of school. And the university. I worked with grades from all the way from pre-K all the way to graduate and undergraduate students. I have done after-school programs. I've been the director of child care programs. I've been the director of camps and worked with nonprofit organizations. So as you can tell, one of my biggest passions is children. But my passion is twofold. I'm passionate about youth and children, but I'm also passionate about people being treated justly and changing this whole idea and systems that teach us these faulty assumptions about one another. And in a nutshell, equity. So things that I'm passionate about, youth and equity. And I bring up this idea of equity because while you may not think it relates, it does. Diversity, inclusion, and equity aren't just about race. There are so many other factors that come with it. And the decision as to whether or not to send your child back to school, I'm flipping words, but the decision about whether or not to send your child back to school, it actually has a lot to do with that because there are a lot of considerations: socioeconomic status, age, religion, disability, sexual orientation, gender, and a whole bunch of other protected and fundamental rights. They all are discriminated against, and they all do play a part and affect what you do and the decision that you're going to have to make when it comes down to making a decision about whether or not your child can go to school. And fundamentally, what we look at is a lot of the things that we've been taught and a lot of the things that we have been instilled in us, we have to unlearn, because when we think about those things, it sometimes puts a negative view on ourselves, and we go into that idea and put that on other people as well, when everything doesn't fit all. So we have to be very versatile in the way that we affect people and affect change and decide what we're going to do. For me, if you know me, if you don't, my biggest, most precious things in the whole wide world, or people in the whole wide world, are my children. And I have that same passion for other people and their children. And so I think you should really make the decision of what's best for you. So for this topic, we're going to sit here, and I said something very harsh yesterday, but I think it's a very real reality of no one wants their child to die. And I paused like that yesterday too. But no one wants their child to die. When it comes down to making a decision about your school, it's not about parents being careless in making a decision as to what is best for their family and what is best for their needs. And so we have to take a deeper look into considering what we need to do. So I have 5 considerations, and I got really excited because I took some notes and I called it the what did I call it? The Beatitudes of which school you're going to go to or how to go back to school. And so my Beatitudes are be open, be empowered, be educated, be practical of your situation, and be there. So let's break that down. The first one, be aware. I talked a little bit about our fundamentals. So you have to be aware of what your child is going into based off of who they are, their age, their race, their sexual orientation. All of these things are going to play a part in their school life. They do even before COVID. They did even before COVID. So they're going to play a part in their school, in your school decision making right now. So how will these things affect your child's stress level? How will these things affect your child's ability to perform? I believe you throw out any number and statistics are 98% of statistics are all made up, right? Just throw out a number. 68% of statistics are all made up. However, when we look at statistics, we look at that idea of the balance between not just academics, but also in the home life and the social life. Those all play a part in the success of your child in their academics. And so when we look at that, we have to see what options will be better able to suit the needs of your child beyond just academics. So that's your first consideration, be aware. Okay, so your second consideration is be educated. You have a choice. You have a choice to make a decision about your child and the different types of learning environments that they go to. There are pretty much three main types of educational choices that they have. Homeschool, they can do live school, whether it's public or private, and virtual school. They can do it through their local district or they can go through another agency. And so when you're considering this, and I say one of the things that you'll see, and one of the things at the beginning of this pandemic that I thought was very important is when you look at the idea of virtual school and homeschool, they very much are two totally different things. Okay, it doesn't mean that you can't do virtual school and homeschool, but the setup for that is very different. So when you're looking at homeschool, you're finding a curriculum for your child. You're delivering that curriculum for your child. You're the teacher, you're the educator, you're the principal. You're doing all of those things for your child on a daily basis and making sure that they have that. Now, before the pandemic, there were things called co-ops where you got together with other children and other facilities. Some are really organized and some are just few families that have put it together. So that's a really cool option if you have that available to you. That's homeschool. Live school, I would love to say it's in the traditional sense, but we know that nothing is traditional right now. But live school, if it is an option. So there are some schools that are not choosing to start this first semester on campus and live. But if you have that option and the school district has decided this is an option that you can choose, then your child will be able to go to the campus, sit in front of a TV and have interactions with the teacher. I'm going to get questions in just a moment, but that's an option and you can choose both public and private. Okay. And then virtual school. When you're looking at virtual school, you're looking through the local school district. A lot of schools are providing virtual options within their school, but there are also a lot of agencies that have been doing virtual school for years that also provide virtual options for you and your child. So some of the things to think about when you're looking at whether or not what type of school you want to have your child start in for their academic year. You want to think about cleanliness. You want to think about times. You want to think about curriculum. You want to think about whether or not they align with what you're doing throughout the day. Okay, so that's two. Number one, be aware. Number one, be educated. I'm going to check and see if there are any questions. Okay. All right, so I'm going to keep going. Number three, be empowered. What is your child's best learning environment? And I say be empowered because it is your choice. So deciding what you want to do for your child's learning environment. Does your child need more structure? Does your child need a hands-on learning experience? Do you and your child have a lot of conflict when it comes to sitting down and doing studies? These are very important. Does your child have exceptional needs to take into consideration? A lot of these things are very important to consider when you're thinking about your child's learning environment, but it's important because the goal is for your child to be successful. So be empowered in that choice. And so as you know the different types of schools, you can also think about how your child would learn best. Personal story. I have 3 children, as I said. My oldest is a super nerd, and she has been gung-ho for doing studies and educating herself throughout her entire life. However, she struggled in the virtual school setting when she came back from the pandemic. My son, who's my second oldest, both of them are in high school. He struggled in the school environment, but when he came out for the pandemic, he did very well as compared to his first year in high school. So not every child is going to be the same, but you really have to think about what is the best choice for your child. What is the best learning environment? What is the best type of school? Now we come down to be open. I say be open. It could be flexible, but today's choice may not be tomorrow's choice. Today's decision might not be possible tomorrow. And so you really want to think about that. You don't have to be stuck in one decision. I know a lot of people want to force you to choose one thing. You want to choose the best thing for right now, and you want to go into it full force, 100% support. But if it doesn't work for your child, change it. Okay? And if you want to talk about that, we can talk about that later. But today's choice might not be tomorrow's choice. Be open to that. And also consider the question, is your child ready? Is your child ready for all of the things that might come with going back to a traditional school? Is your child ready for all the things that might come with needing to be responsible for a virtual school? All of these things are very important because you don't know in advance, but you want to kind of take your time to evaluate that now. A lot of schools are planning on opening within the next few weeks. A lot of them have pushed back their time, but this is your time to really think about being open of what are my child's needs and are they ready to begin the school year. The last one, so we have be aware, be educated, be empowered, be open. And the 5th one is be practical of your situation. And I say that because practical is different for everyone. But when you're practical for your situation, you have to make that choice at the end of the day. Sometimes that choice is, do I work or do I teach? Okay, so this is where we really hit that equity. Every parent doesn't have the luxury of being at home with their child, okay? And I say luxury, but that's just my opinion. Every parent, different parents have different situations. So if your child needs you more hands-on, that's a hard choice that you're going to have to make. Be practical of your situation. Another personal scenario, when I decided to homeschool my kids, I decided to leave behind what people would say glorious glorious jobs and positions, and I decided to be a custodian and clean a church. It was a choice that I made. It was a sacrifice I made, but that is not everybody's ability. Everybody's not able to do that. And I was doing it as a single parent and I had 3 jobs. So either way, you just want to make sure that you look at what you need to do, be practical of your situation. If medical professional, if you can't just up and leave and up and quit because you need to maintain certain things, that's something to consider. And that's okay to be practical of your situation. Will you need childcare options after school or something else? That's very important because those are the same sort of questions that you're going to look at with yourself of, okay, now where do I go for childcare? Some of the schools are doing 2 days a week on, 3 days a week off. If you don't have a job that works 2 days a week on and 3 days a week off, that is something that you're going to have to consider. So be practical of your situation. All in all, and contrary to some people's belief, The determination of you being a good or bad parent has nothing to do with this choice that you have to make. But you do have to make a choice. So make a choice that's best for your family right now. If that changes, that's okay too. But you can adjust. But think about all of the things, consider that, and rest assured, you are not a bad parent if you have to send your child to school. You're not a bad parent if you decide to stay home. You just have to be a parent that thinks about the options and weighs in on them and makes the best decision for your child. All right. If you have any questions, I'll hang out for a little bit. But other than that, I hope you find joy in making your decision. Talk with some other people that you have around you. Bounce ideas off of them. Parents, caregivers. Talk to them about going back to school. And most of all, like or share this video and come see me on my social media. Come see me on my website. And I'll see you next week. I'm going to start doing lives on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I love y'all. Peace. Oh, and drink tea. Now, one funny thing is I don't know how to work this live, so it's going to take me a minute to turn it off. So if you have any questions, let me know. All right. See you later.
I love it.
Am I off?
I don't know.
I don't either.